A large number of Ndi Igbo are reverting back to their indigenous way of life, their indigenous spirituality, and it is more popular among the young people. And there are several factors that are responsible for this reversion, which I could basically do a video and talk about. The factors that are contributing to why Igbo youths or African youths are reverting back to the indigenous way of life. Now, because of this reversion, many of these young people are working blinded, because most of our elders, our parents, are deep dived into the church, and they also don't have the preliminary information about our ancestral way of life. So anybody that decides to look into this indigenous belief system, it is struck with this biggest block of, I don't know what I am doing. I don't understand this concept. I don't want to make any mistakes. And this is why channels like mine are here to help you to bridge that knowledge gap, so that you are able to know what you're supposed to know the definitions, know the ancestral interpretations of this concept. And by knowing it or having a foundational knowledge about this concept, you're able to build yourself or build a path that you want to use in approaching these Igbo indigenous cosmic forces and the rest of them. Now, one of the areas that we always get confused is this concept of Agwu. I've done a prior video where I talked about this particular Igbo cosmic force, Agwu. But today I'm going to be looking at the Igbo concept of Agwu Nka. I call it the energy, the creative energy of innovation and artistry. Now we're going to get into it later. Now, before I go deep into it, I want to show a video of this young boy who, without having any formal knowledge, is constructing Igbo effigies that the Dibia or many people that are within the Igbo practices or Igbo spiritual system use to consecrate and imbue the energy of deities or spiritual beings that they want to talk or interact with. Now, foundationally, in our cosmology, our belief is that we want to represent these imaginary, these cosmic beings that we only feel or experience. Now, we represent them by imbuing their essence within effigies like this. So when we see a young boy who probably does not come from the lineage of Dibias or blacksmiths involving himself in this kind of craft, it begs to wonder what is happening. How is this young boy able to construct these effigies, these items? Now, what is happening? This is our ancestors refer to people like him as Onye-Agwu Mara, a person that has the creative energy of constructing things that he probably has not seen in his life or didn't pass through any kind of educational system. But this person knows this thing for the sake of knowing it. The knowledge is in it. The knowledge comes from within. It is not something that he's been taught or something that he learned from any formal educational system. It could be something he dreamt about, and he wakes up and he starts constructing. So this is what Agwu does. Now, if we want to give it a refined definition, we could say that Agwu Bu Agbara, keru, akonauche. And when we're talking about Agwu in that context, we're talking about creativity, we're talking about boosted mental acumen, we're talking about a heightened knowledge gap, we're talking about you knowing, having information that you are not predisposed, or having some sort of a boosted or heightened mental acumen, heightened intuition towards the subject matter or towards your craft or any skill that you have. Now, these individuals with this heightened creativity are people we refer to as Onye-Agwu Mara, God-possessed individuals. We refer to them as Onye-Agwu Mara, Onye-Agwu Mara, because primarily all of us have our craft, we have our skills, we have our talents, and it all falls under the banner of Agwu. But once we're now making mention of Onye-Agwu Mara, we're now saying that this group of people have they got a heightened share of this cosmic force. It reveals information to them by tapping into the universal mind and connecting those informations that it is getting from the mind of God, Uche-Chukwu, straight into their consciousness. And this is why when a person, Onye-Agwu Mara, a God-possessed individual who has not aligned or who basically rejects Agwu, that person begins to suffer some kind of psychosis, because the information this individual is getting from Agwu is unrefined. So once this person is getting this information from Agwu, and that unrefined information is moving straight into that person's subconscious mind, it makes this person have this inability to assess and understand the information he or she is getting from Agwu, and this basically will destabilize that individual. That this people will now say, this person is insane as a result of Agwu affiliation. And without having this proper knowledge of Agwu, we've basically, collapsed Agwu into a hole and demonized Agwu because we don't have this full information. Now it's just like telling you that are you going to put a sugary or substance into the mouth of any individual and the person will like spit out? So because of that, you are not supposed to spit out the information that you are getting or tapping from Agwu. So this basically results to what we call mother Agbara Agwu. Now I digressed. Now the information here is that Agwu Agbara akonauche. So when we're talking about Agwu, we're talking about knowledge, we're talking about wisdom, we're talking about intellect, we're talking about heightened creativity, we're talking about boosted productivity. It makes you very productive because Agwu shares information to you through your dreams or through everything around you becomes an inspiration to the work you're doing. This is how Agwu functions, or this is how Agwu works based on the Igbo ancestral perception. Now we have three major aspects of Agwu. We have Agwu or Agwu. Now this particular Agwu is connected to individuals that are exchanging value or their products for their income or for monetary value, whatever thing you're selling. People that are within the market sector, traders, businessmen and businesswomen, online traders, because we have evolved and our consciousness and our reality is also evolving. So buying and selling is no longer done in a shop setting or market setting. It could be done online. So people that also participate in online trading are also people that have this particular Agwu that we refer to in Agwu. Now the determining factor is that individuals that their Agwu is tied to the market or to the buying and selling of products and services for economic or monetary value. The determining factor is that no matter what this individual is selling or left in his or her shop, this individual would be selling. This goes as far as Agwu revealing some kind of market strategies to this individual, and these strategies are going to enable them have or record groundbreaking sales in their various businesses. Now the second aspect of this Agwu is Agwu Dibia. Now we know them. Every individuals that fall within this category are known as masters of esoteric knowledge, because they have a connection and the capacity to function as emissaries, intercessors, healers, and diviners. Now, this particular Agwu Dibia is broken into subsets because we have different kinds of Dibia. We have Dibia Alpha. This particular Dibia is a diviner, and we know that they use tools like Ibala, okpu, emeru, depending on the one that your cosmic forces are tethered to. So this individual can be able to tap into the record of time, the Akashic records, and draw out information that he or she is going to share with their client and also proffer solutions. Like after getting that information, we also get a solution to the certain problem. Now we also have Dibia or or Agwu Nka. Now what they do here is that these individuals, they work with the configuration and distilling of herbs and roots for medical purposes. Now another group here is that we have Dibia Aja. This is where people will refer to as Ezenwoke, Ezenwanye, or people that perform sacrifices such as Ekwajuke, Ekwajobonuke, Ekwajakoheli, and the rest of them. These people that are specific individuals that are supposed to function as Dibia Aja, and their function is to carry out any form of sacrificial purposes. And these individuals, even people refer to as Akajo for Alose, staff holders to deities, they fall under this particular category. Now the next group we have is Dibia Obobo. These people have their Agwu is directly tied to the fixing of bones. So in modern form now, or in English language, we call them physiotherapists and orthopedics doctors. After the fixing of the bone, you go to a physiotherapist to help you to walk and the rest of them. Now their function, or what we call them, are Dibia, they fall under that category within an interpretation of how we perceive Agwu. Before I proceed into explaining what the Igbo concept of Agwu Nka means, I want to read out something, and I hope I'm able to drop some kind of pointer to you and you understand this whole Agwu Dibia concept very well. Now, whilst we have this indigenous perception that those we refer to as Dibia have this cosmic connection and are regarded as Okalamadu or Okalamwo, we generally refer to experts or adepts of various fields as Dibia. Now, this is because in our ancient society, we were utterly dependent on these spiritual forces. Everything that we did, we had to embed it in layers and layers of spirituality. Now, of spiritual forces. Hence, these spiritual forces, they set the pace and they also set the foundation which we adopt to make sense of our environment, of our reality. But with the internet as a global connector or village, now and the recent pieces of information that we have gathered, we can create a correlation between different career paths and those who are exceptional and experts in those fields. Therefore, in our history, an epoch of if our history and epoch of development were left to evolve without Eurocentric infusions, then those people we refer to as professors, would also be referred to as Dibia. But with those various infusions of Eurocentric ideologies, we demonize the Dibia without having the full informations of their capacity and their capability. Now, I've made it a mission that whenever someone mentions that a Dibia is a native doctor, I take it upon myself to correct that negative interpretation and perception, because Dibias, the work and the functionality of the Dibia, it is much broad. I can call a professor a Dibia because the professor is good in academic field. The same way we could see a guru, and we refer to a guru as a Dibia, because a Dibia is not just a master of an esoteric knowledge, but they are also experts in their various fields. So someone that is very good, a technocrat, an expert in his field, can also be referred to as a Dibia, because you are a master, you are an expert in that field. So I can refer to you as a Dibia. So if we did not have these Eurocentric infusions into our practices, it means that we would have been, instead of calling a professor, would call a professor a Dibia, a Diabia, a master of learning. So this is what we would have said. But because of these infusions, a Dibia to most folks is just a native doctor, and a professor is a professor. But in reality, a professor is actually a Dibia in Igbo language. Now let's look at the Igbo concept of Agwu Nka. Now, what is this Nka? Now we call Nka science and technology. But you will now ask, did our ancestors know what science was? Did they know what technology was? What? Now, Nka. Nka simply means artistry. Artistry. Now, individuals that fall within this category of artistry are writers, entertainers, sculptors, fashion designers, people that deals with things that, things that when you look at it, it is with your creative mind, your imaginations. They fall within this category of Nka. Now, also falls within the category of innovators or inventors. Now, this is where we now have blacksmiths, iron welders, and the rest of them. And when we now bring this expression within our modern space, we will now look at Ozo as technocrats or technologists, as scientists and inventors, and computer engineers and developers. This is where Ozo comes. Now, this perception of Nka and Ozo, because Nka is artistry, it deals with your imaginative mind. Ozo deals with your ability to bring something into reality, which means innovation. It deals with your hand, it deals with your imagination. It means that you are bringing in something that it is rare, it is uncommon into reality. So we now somehow refer to Nka and Ozo as science and technology. Now, therefore, individuals that operate within the structure of innovation in artistry, we say that these people have Agwu Nka, just like this young lad. He operates under Agwu Nka. Now, he operates under the banner of Agwu Nka as the energy of creativity and innovation. This means that because of their Agwu, these sets of individuals, they have the privilege of using this cosmic force to expand and to develop their new crafts and inventions, that it is not just going to be beneficial to them personally, but also the community they come from is also going to benefit from their talent and from their Agwu. This is why we say Onye-Agwu na-emeru onwe, mana Ozo na-akpuru obodo. When a blacksmith invents something, let me say, prior to the time of inventing a ogu, what were our ancestors using? And one smart or one innovative blacksmith came and constructed ogu, a hoe, and all of a sudden the entire community starts to use that invention to cultivate their farms. Now, what does this mean? This innovation is not just beneficial to an individual that saw the need for it, but it has now basically benefited the whole community. And this is one thing I want us to take home today. No matter the Agwu that you have, Onye-Agwu Mara, if you're a God-possessed individual, the reasons why the Agwu is particular with you is that it feels that what you have, the talent you have, it is not just for you to use it alone, but it's something you're supposed to bring to the table, to the communal table. It's something you're supposed to use to develop, to change your environment, to expand your environment. Imagine somebody from my hometown developing the cure for AIDS and HIV. What is going to happen to my community, to my town? The entire world is going to know my community because of that singular individual. This is where this adage, Onye Agwu na-emeru onwe, so whatever talent, whatever Agwu that we have, it is something we're supposed to use to develop not just ourselves, but the entire community. Now, finally, this concept of Agwu is an endless topic. It's an endless topic, and it deserves to be updated at each given time. Now, I tell people that if not because we had this kind of cognitive dissonance, what would happen here is that most of the language that we use, or concept that we use, the everyday concepts we use in our spiritual system ordinarily, would have been a language that we use. So instead of saying, oh, this person is a very smart individual, I would say this person has a very active Agwu. This is me, inculcating the language, the etymology that I have in my indigenous tongue, in my indigenous language, within a modern sphere. So instead of saying this person is very smart, I would say this person's Agwu is very active. But because of the cognitive dissonance and because of our religious affiliation, we fear to use those words. Then we just demonize it and say it is nothing. But in our reality, it is something, and it should be appreciated for what it is. So for the family of this young boy, I don't know if you're going to see this video, but if you come across this video, no, because I saw the comment sections where people were trying to say, hey, yeah, let this boy go to school, and after going to school, let him, turn his face to Christ, because Christ is the way. Well, that's a topic for another day, I think, because what people forget is that everything that we do is faith dependent. Now, because this boy is constructing what he's doing within an indigenous space, he's calling it opposite this, opposite that. If he's constructing the crucifix and all, we know where he belongs to. So this is where I feel, having a tribal mentality is kind of a problem, because it gives you this kind of a condescending attitude. But you're thinking that your own belief system or your own way of life is better than the next person. So the parents of this boy, what they should do is always encourage him. Even those that say, oh, he should leave this thing and go to school. We have so many graduates in this country. But the question is, how many graduates have a high-paying job, a good-paying job? But this young boy at the age of 12 has employers. Look at the people around him. He's paying, even if it is just like 100 naira, 1000 naira, it is something. But he is an employer. So how many of us with our age gap can afford to employ people, even our own peers? But we are seeing a young boy that is doing what that we cannot do, but because of our religious affiliation and because of the sentiments that we have, we are now hammering on, criticizing and demonizing what he's doing and saying that they should distract him from his path and reposition him in another path. Now, what guarantee do we have that when you take this boy from this path and put him into another path, he's going to be successful and he's going to make it in life? So instead, we should encourage him. This is a path that knowingly or unknowingly he is now on. So what the parents should do is to see is that he keeps on moving from one point to another point in his life. He should get education, yes, but he should never for one day drop his chisels and his hammer and pick up another hobby. He should continue on the spot. He should even further it into fine art, read, study and sculpting, and improve on those innate abilities that he has. And by doing this, if we check on this boy in the next 20 years and he did not deviate from this path, he is going to be a force to reckon with. And this is what Agwu does, ladies and gentlemen. This is why our ancestors were particular in performing the rites of Agwu, learner-centered education. Because what they do is they know what the family is capable of. They know the skills within the family, and they initiate you into what the family is known for. Today, the only way to build a generational wealth is when one member of the family is, engaging in some kind of trade. The next member of the family should, bring in a product that is adjacent to what the brother is doing. The next family member should also produce something that is adjacent to what the second brother is producing. So what happens when somebody walks into the first brother's shop to buy something? The possibility that the first brother is going to recommend the second brother, and the second brother will not recommend to the third brother is there. This is how you build generational wealth. And our ancestors understood this concept of generational wealth, and they called it Agwu, learner-centered education. And until next time, Yagazie, don't forget to subscribe to my channel, follow me up on all my social media, on TikTok and on Instagram and also on Facebook. And if you have another question, also drop it in the comment section and I'm going to attend to it. Yagazie.